The stove box was designed in 2010 by a fireplace and stove installer with over 30 years experience to simplify the fitting of a stove in an aperture. Using the stove box reduces the amount of time and work on site down from 2 days into less than a day and helps cut down the disruption to the customer. This is simply because the interior of the box is a panel which is made prior to installation and just glues into the box. The stove box has been tested and serviced on various clients prior to being launched in 2011 at the Fireplace exhibition and has since been developed further. The stove box can be chopped into an existing chimney breast or have a false breast built around it using a new chimney system if there is no chimney. The stove box is suitable for gas, wood burners and multi-fuel stoves and is available in 3 sizes. We have also designed various extras to complete a wide choice of fireplace options, which can be traditional or contemporary, and these can be seen on our website, or you can find out more about them by contacting a member of our staff who will happily explain the different options. Before you can decide which box to use, a site survey needs to be carried out to check the width and depth of the opening where the stove box is to be fitted, and it's important to remember to take into consideration a gap of approximately 25mm around the stove box for infill. Sometimes this can't be done until the old fireplace is taken out. If the chimney breast is on an outside wall or in a garage, measurements can be taken, which was the case in this example. Next, remove the old fireplace, but please make sure the chimney has been swept before doing so. You can then start to chop a hole out to the required size. Cut the hearth to fit the opening and place it in position on a bed of mortar. It's essential to make sure the hearth is level, otherwise the box and stove will not sit correctly. Fill and make good to gaps with mortar and give the hearth a quick clean. Next, assemble the stove box. This usually takes about 5 minutes depending on the type of screwdriver you're using. In this example, the fitter is using a compact drill as the power of the drill helps align the holes when screwing the pieces together. If you're going to use an ordinary electric screwdriver, we recommend running a drill bit through the holes before screwing, as this will make it easier when screwing in the self-tapping screws. Once you've finished putting the stove box together, you're left with a very sturdy box. Next, fit the collar. We recommend laying the box flat as it will be easier to work on. The collar can fit both ways and is offset, which will allow for further adjustment if required, but you'll need to check the stove and the distance the pipe is from the back wall. For the purpose of this video, we are showing how to fit the pipe and rope at this stage of the installation process, and whilst the box is laid flat, but it's important to remember that it should be done when the box has been fitted and the stove is in place. When the collar is fitted, do not fully tighten the bolts, as you'll need to slide the collar into its correct final position when the stove and pipe is being connected at a later stage. You can now stand the stove box in position. It's important to make sure it's central and level before fixing the top brackets. An insulation mix is then pushed into the sides and back of the stove box. Then, use fire silicone on all joints to the box before the interior is fitted. We make a variety of interiors such as reeded, plain fireboard, tiled and brick effect, but in this example a textured plaster effect is being used. The back panel is already pre-textured, but because the wall is going to be plastered and angle bead is required, the side panels need to be textured on site. The front interior edges would be covered with a frame. Next, plaster the front with bonding where the old fireplace was, and then clean. You're now ready to fit the stove. Place the flue pipe into the collar and flue and loosely secure with the bolts. Place the stove in the desired position and then drop the pipe and line up the collar. Once this is complete, make sure the stove is level. Now, fit the rope and tighten the 4 bolts so the rope is secure in order to seal the flue. It's important to make sure the bolts aren't over tightened. Then, tighten the bolts to the base collar. You can then fire cement the pipe on the top of the stove and touch up with paint, and then you're ready to test the stove. It's important to service the stove every year, and to do this, undo the 4 bolts, push the pipe so it clears the stove, and then take the stove out. Using your hand or brush, you can then clean out above the stove box, and in this example we've used debris to show how easy it is to access and clean. Before refitting the stove, we recommend you replace the rope with a new one, as this will help maintain the seal in the flue. To maintain correct working order of your stove, it's important to have your chimney swept on a regular basis, and depending on what fuel you use, should be every 6 to 12 months. It's essential that all fitting and servicing must be carried out by an approved HETUS engineer, and a list of engineers can be found on HETUS website www.hetus.co.uk.